I thought moving into a nursing home would be a step towards safety, comfort, and peace of mind. I believed it would mean more hands to help, a place to finally rest and feel cared for. But what I didn't expect, what no one warned me about, was how quietly and completely it would start to strip away everything that once made me feel human. The little freedoms I took for granted. The simple joys of choosing when to eat, or who to talk to. The dignity of privacy. The warmth of feeling seen. I walked in with hope. But over time, it felt like I was disappearing into a system that couldn't remember my name, let alone my story. This isn't just about me. This is a wake-up call. Because if you, or someone you love, is even considering long-term care, you need to hear this. What I experienced behind those walls revealed a reality that far too many people live through silently, thinking it's just part of getting old. But it's not. You deserve better. You deserve to know the truth. In this video, I'm pulling back the curtain to share the 7 brutal realities that made me regret moving into a nursing home. Not to scare you, but to empower you. Because the choices you make now could determine your future, your freedom, your joy, your health. And what I've learned, the hard way, could be exactly what you need to protect yourself or someone you love from the same pain. And the 5th one? It still keeps me up at night, not because of what happened to me, but because of who I couldn't help. Reality 1. Loss of independence feels like losing yourself. One of the hardest things about moving into a nursing home wasn't the medical care. It wasn't even the loss of a familiar place to live. No, it was the slow and gradual erosion of something far more precious, my independence. At first, I didn't notice it. Small things like mealtimes, which I once controlled, began to slip away. The schedule was set for me, and I had little say in when or what I ate. Then, it was the clothes I wore. I remember, not long after I moved in, I found myself in hospital-like gowns most of the time, not because I was ill, but because it was easier for the staff to get me dressed in the morning. What I once picked out with care, what made me feel like me, now felt like a distant memory. Each decision that I used to make, what time to wake up, what to eat, where to go, was slowly taken from me. It wasn't just about a lack of choice. It felt like I was no longer seen as a person. Instead, I was treated like a patient, someone whose days were managed by others. And that, in itself, felt like a loss I didn't know I was unprepared for. It wasn't the pain of an injury or illness that hurt the most. It was the loss of self. I began to feel like a part of me was fading away, like I was no longer in control of my own life. And in its place, a constant reminder that I was being taken care of, not truly living. The psychological toll of this was subtle at first. But over time, I began to notice the small signs. The resignation in my own voice when I was asked about what I wanted to do that day. The empty look in the eyes of other residents who, like me, seemed to have lost the fire to choose, to decide. It was as though, over time, we were all becoming nobody, our preferences, our desires, our agency, all slowly erased. I wasn't just physically in the nursing home. It felt like my spirit, my will, was being confined to that place too. I lost more than just physical freedom. I lost the part of me that fought for myself. And that's a loss that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't experienced it. Advice. So, what can you do now, while you still have the chance? If you're still in control of your choices, start planning today. Aging in place doesn't just mean staying in your home longer. It means setting up systems that allow you to maintain autonomy, even if life gets harder. Consider things like a home modification plan that allows you to move safely around your space, creating a solid support network with family and friends who respect your wishes, having open conversations about what you want as you age and how you want to live. The more you can build a life that keeps your independence intact, the more you'll protect yourself from the crushing feeling of losing it when you need it most. But here's the thing. You don't just lose your independence when you move into a nursing home. There's something else that begins to slip away, something you may not even notice until it's too late. The truth is, the loss of independence is just the beginning of a much bigger shift. You start losing something that goes far deeper than just your control over your day-to-day life. Reality 2. The loneliness no one talks about. When I first moved into the nursing home, I expected to be surrounded by people, fellow residents, staff, caregivers, but I never expected to feel as alone as I did. I thought that being in a facility with others meant companionship. After all, we were all in the same boat, right? But no one talks about the kind of loneliness that creeps in when you're surrounded by people yet feel invisible. At first, it's subtle. You start by noticing the distant looks in other people's eyes. There's a sense of isolation even in the middle of a crowded room. And you realize it's not just the physical distance between you and others. It's the emotional distance, the lack of genuine human connection. Most of the conversations that happen in a nursing home are brief, transactional. How are you today? Do you need anything? That's it. There are no deep talks, no meaningful exchanges. You're left with an overwhelming silence after the caregiver leaves, and before you know it, that silence becomes a daily companion. It's not just the loneliness in the nursing home itself, it's the absence of real connection. Friends and family start visiting less and less. The visits begin to taper off as time goes on. I used to look forward to the moments when my family came by, but over time, those visits became infrequent, and when they did happen, they felt rushed, like they had other things to do. I started to wonder if they were trying to avoid the reality of my situation. It's easy to feel like you've become a burden, even if you've never asked for help. This kind of loneliness doesn't just feel like being alone. It feels like being forgotten. And the worst part is, that feeling starts to sink into your bones. But here's what I've learned. Loneliness doesn't have to be inevitable. Social isolation can happen at any age, but especially as we age, and we need to start thinking about it today. That means prioritizing social fitness just as much as we prioritize physical fitness. Start now by creating routines that keep you connected with others, whether it's scheduling weekly catch-ups with friends, joining local clubs, or even starting a hobby that encourages social interaction. Consider joining a community group, taking a class, or volunteering at a local shelter. If you're already in a nursing home or similar situation, make an effort to connect with other residents who may feel just as isolated as you do. It's not too late to build a network of people who care, even if it starts with small steps. Start today, not tomorrow. The more effort you put into building meaningful relationships now, the easier it will be when you need that community later. It's not too late. You can still build the support network you'll need tomorrow, today. Reach out to others. Make connections that matter. In the future, those relationships will be your lifeline, your source of joy and comfort, and the thing that will keep you feeling alive, not just physically, but emotionally. The reality is, we all need human connection to thrive. Without it, we're left adrift in a sea of loneliness, with no one to catch us when we fall. But here's the thing. Loneliness isn't the only thing that gets lost when you move into a nursing home. There's something even more crucial that starts to fade away when you lose your social connections. It's not just about who's missing, it's also what's missing. Stay tuned, because the next reality is one you definitely don't want to overlook. Reality 3. The dignity dilemma. If there's one thing I never prepared for when moving into a nursing home, it was the gradual loss of dignity. The first time I needed help with something as simple as getting dressed, it was a shock. I didn't expect to feel so vulnerable. But there it was, a caregiver helping me into a shirt, taking me to the restroom, assisting me with bathing. Suddenly, everything felt exposed, my privacy, my autonomy gone. It wasn't just about physical assistance. It was about how it made me feel, embarrassed. The smallest things that I used to take for granted, like being able to get dressed on my own or choosing when and how I used the restroom, were no longer mine to control. At first, it was bearable, but over time, it eroded my sense of self-worth. It made me feel like a patient, not a person. That feeling of being completely dependent on someone else, at such a basic level, hit me hard. It wasn't just uncomfortable, it was emotionally crushing. The more these situations occurred, the more it wore on me. I started feeling shame that I couldn't manage simple daily tasks anymore. That shame turned into depression, and in turn, I became irritable and withdrawn. I'd snap at the caregivers for no reason, feeling frustrated with myself. Why was this happening to me? This wasn't just about physical limitations. It was about the emotional toll, the psychological damage that comes when you lose the ability to care for yourself in the most basic ways. And the worst part? It wasn't just me. I began to notice it in others around me. People who once were independent, vibrant individuals, now struggling with the same sense of helplessness. It's a silent epidemic in nursing homes that no one talks about, the loss of dignity. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this way. Aging with dignity is absolutely possible, but it requires starting today, not tomorrow. If we take ownership of our health, fitness, and choices, we can maintain a level of independence for as long as possible. The key to preserving dignity as we age lies in taking charge now, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Start working on your functional fitness. This isn't about being able to run a marathon, but about improving the ability to move, to bend, to reach, to lift. It's about ensuring that as you age, your body remains as independent as possible. Focus on maintaining your mobility, which is essential for everyday tasks. Stretching, strength training, and staying active can help you avoid the loss of physical independence that so often leads to needing help with basic tasks. And just as importantly, prioritize mental preparedness. Strengthening your emotional resilience, practicing mindfulness, and building a positive mindset can make all the difference in how you cope with aging. The goal isn't to prevent aging. It's to embrace it while retaining as much dignity and self-respect as possible. The more proactive you are about your physical and mental health, the longer you'll maintain your independence. Solution: start today by incorporating exercises that focus on balance and flexibility. Simple activities like walking, yoga, or water aerobics can drastically improve your ability to move independently. It's never too early to think about this. The sooner you start, the better. Build strength in your legs, core, and arms. These are the muscle groups that allow us to stand, sit, walk, and carry out basic tasks. But also take care of your mind. Become comfortable with accepting help, but never to the point where you feel completely powerless. Learn to ask for help when necessary, but don't lose sight of your ability to function as independently as possible for as long as you can. That balance is what keeps your dignity intact. Don't wait until it's too late to regain control over your health. Take charge of your body and mind now, so that when the time comes for assistance, it's on your terms. You have the ability to stay as independent as possible with the right tools and mindset. But here's the truth: even your basic comforts can disappear when you're not prepared. There's something else about moving into a nursing home that no one really talks about. What happens when your comfort zones, the little things that made life bearable, start to vanish too? Stay tuned, because this is where things get even more difficult. Reality 4. Comfort is a luxury, not a guarantee. You think that when you move into a nursing home, you'll be surrounded by care, comfort, and peace. But here's the truth: comfort becomes a luxury, not a guarantee. At first, I didn't mind the food. I figured it was just part of the deal. Nursing homes don't exactly cater to five-star tastes. But day after day, it became a harsh reality. The food wasn't just bland, it was generic. You start realizing that they serve what's convenient, not necessarily what's good for you or what you actually want to eat. The same tasteless meals, day in and day out, made me lose my appetite and, in some ways, my will to eat. It's one of those subtle but constant frustrations that chips away at your quality of life. Then, there's the bed. It's supposed to be a place of rest, right? But what they give you is often a hard mattress that feels more like a slab of stone than a comfortable bed. Every night, I found myself shifting, trying to find a position that wouldn't make my back ache. I couldn't remember the last time I woke up feeling fully rested. Instead, I felt like I was constantly battling my environment. And the noise. That was another issue. In a nursing home, you don't get peace and quiet. People are talking, beds are creaking, doors are opening and closing all night long. The sounds of beeping machines and patients calling for help, it's a constant hum of activity that never really stops. When you're trying to sleep or just have a quiet moment, it feels like there's always something happening, always someone around. This wasn't the sanctuary I imagined. Instead, it felt like a constant intrusion on my privacy and peace of mind. And then there's the routine. Everything is done on a schedule. When you eat, when you wake up, when you go to bed. It's not about you anymore. It's about the system. You don't have the freedom to decide when you want to go to bed or when you want to shower. The rigidity of those routines can feel like a prison, and small annoyances begin to add up. The longer I stayed, the more those little things, like the uncomfortable beds, the loud environment, and the inflexible routines, became daily battles. It's exhausting in ways you can't fully explain until you're in the thick of it. It doesn't seem like much at first, but when comfort becomes a constant struggle, your spirit starts to drain. You begin to miss the simple pleasures of home, making a cup of tea in peace, watching your favorite show in your own chair, even deciding when to go for a walk. Those things become a distant memory, and all you're left with is a sense of discomfort that you can't escape from. Advice. Here's the hard truth. Comfort is something you need to plan for. Waiting until you're already in the situation can leave you feeling stuck. It's important to start exploring alternatives early, while you still have the freedom to make choices. One option to consider is assisted living. This offers a middle ground between nursing homes and independent living, with more flexibility and better living conditions. You'll have a degree of independence, but with access to assistance when needed. Co-housing is another great option, where you live with a community of people who share responsibilities, support one another, and often create a more personalized living environment. And if you're someone who values staying at home, aging in place with technology could be the solution. With advancements in home healthcare devices and smart home technology, it's more feasible than ever to maintain your independence without sacrificing safety or comfort. Starting these conversations with family and loved ones now can give you more peace of mind in the future and help you avoid the compromises that come with settling for comfort that isn't really comfortable. Explore your options while you can. It's not about waiting for a crisis. It's about creating a future where you can live with the dignity and comfort you deserve. But there's one thing no one wants to admit when it comes to nursing homes. Something that goes far beyond just discomfort and routine. What happens when the most important thing in your life, your health, is at risk? Stay tuned, because this next reality might be the most shocking of them all. Reality 5. Neglect can be invisible until it's not. You may think that neglect in a nursing home is always obvious: abusive staff, neglectful behavior, or mistreatment. But the truth is, neglect can often be invisible, creeping up slowly until it's too late to undo the damage. Not every facility is outright abusive, but many are understaffed and overworked, and it's these subtle oversights that can have a long-lasting impact on your health and well-being. At first, it's easy to overlook. Everyone's busy, after all. But soon, you start noticing small things that, at first, seem harmless but are actually crucial to your daily care. For instance, medication being missed or delayed. Sometimes it's a simple oversight. Maybe the nurse was too busy, or maybe they didn't check the chart. But then, that missed medication starts adding up. Medications that were supposed to keep you stable are now forgotten, and you're left to deal with the consequences. You might not feel it immediately, but over time, it takes its toll on your health, your energy levels, your overall sense of well-being. And then there's the hygiene. Basic tasks, like being helped to bathe, comb your hair, or even change your clothes, can be missed. I began to realize that the neglect was often hidden behind staff shortages. Nurses and aides were constantly juggling multiple patients, trying to manage more than they could handle. And while they were doing their best, the attention to detail that's so essential to maintaining dignity and respect just wasn't there. I'd go for days without a shower because the staff didn't have the time to help me. The feeling of not being seen, of not being cared for in the way you truly deserve, is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's not overt abuse. It's the quiet neglect that chips away at your dignity. It doesn't stop there. Emotional needs can be just as easily neglected as physical care. In nursing homes, there's often a heavy focus on physical health, but emotional well-being seems to take a back seat. The staff might check in on you, but the quality of the interaction is often more about efficiency than connection. I realized that the loneliness I felt wasn't just from being isolated in a room. It was because my emotional needs were being ignored. No one took the time to ask how I was feeling, to see me as a person, not just a patient. And this, too, became a form of neglect, one that can leave you feeling like a ghost in a place that's supposed to be your home. If there's one thing I can stress here, it's that you need to be proactive. Don't wait until it's too late to notice the warning signs of neglect. Before committing to any nursing home, it's vital to vet the facilities. Go beyond the brochures and the tours. Ask the tough questions. Ask about staffing ratios. Ask how often staff members are trained. Ask about the facility's policies on medication management and personal care. You have to ensure that the place you're considering can truly meet your physical, emotional, and psychological needs. Involve your family in the process. Have them visit the facility multiple times at different hours of the day to get a sense of how the place operates. Family can often catch things that you might miss, and their presence can also ensure that you aren't forgotten or overlooked. There's also the option to hire an independent advocate or ombudsman who can help you navigate the system, especially if you feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed by the process. Your health, your dignity, and your well-being deserve the utmost attention, and the reality is, no one will advocate for you like you can. But despite all the research, all the preparation, nothing could have prepared me for the moment when the neglect hit hardest. When I saw this happen, everything I thought I knew about nursing home care came crashing down. Stay with me, because this might be the wake-up call you never saw coming. Reality 6. Watching others fade fast. One of the hardest parts of living in a nursing home isn't just about the loss of independence or the feeling of neglect. It's the mental and emotional toll of seeing others slowly fade away. At first, I couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between myself and the residents around me. Many of them had been here for years, some were in the later stages of their lives, and their physical decline was inevitable. But what struck me was the mental and emotional decay that I hadn't anticipated. Every day, I saw individuals who once had rich, fulfilling lives reduced to barely existing. I witnessed people lose not only their physical strength but also their sense of purpose. Some sat in front of the television all day, their minds blank, their lives no longer filled with any real passion or drive. Others spent their time in bed, staring at the ceiling, disconnected from the world around them. The sadness in their eyes was impossible to ignore. There was one woman, a former artist, who had been a regular fixture in the common room when I first arrived. She used to talk about her paintings, share stories about her travels, and engage in deep, intellectual conversations. But soon after, her interest in everything faded. She would sit silently, staring at the walls, her hands idle in her lap. It was as if, without the stimulation of creativity or meaningful connections, she simply withered away, piece by piece. I had to ask myself, could this be me one day? Would I become so withdrawn, so devoid of purpose, that I too would end up staring at the walls, wondering where the years went? That thought haunted me, and I realized how easily this could happen if I wasn't careful. The mental decline that accompanies physical decline can be just as insidious. And what makes it worse is that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, subtle process, like watching a flower slowly wilt without anyone noticing until it's too late. But there's hope. I don't want to paint a picture of inevitable despair. The key to avoiding this fade is staying intellectually and emotionally engaged, and it's something that can be started right now, before you're in the situation where it becomes too hard to change. It's essential to stimulate your brain, not just your body. Engage in activities that challenge your mind, reading, puzzles, learning new skills, or even taking up new hobbies. You don't have to become a scholar, but keeping your brain active can make all the difference. Just like you would take care of your physical health by eating well and exercising, you should take care of your mental health by engaging in activities that challenge and stimulate your mind. There's also emotional engagement. It's easy to feel disconnected in a nursing home, especially when it seems like everyone is in their own world. But it's critical to maintain meaningful connections with other residents, with family members, and with the world outside the facility. Find purpose in something, anything. Whether it's volunteering, connecting with old friends, or even starting a creative project like writing, painting, or gardening, these things give you something to look forward to. They help you stay emotionally connected and give your life meaning. Some nursing homes offer opportunities for intellectual and emotional engagement, such as book clubs, art classes, or group discussions. If you're considering a facility, make sure these opportunities exist, or ask about the options for creating them. And if you're already in a nursing home, try initiating activities that encourage interaction. Invite others to join in a conversation or start a group project. It may take time, but it can help you and others stay connected and feel alive. It's not just about surviving in a nursing home, it's about living. You don't have to accept the decline of your mental health or emotional well-being as an inevitable part of aging. There are ways to fight it, and that battle begins now. But as hard as it was to watch others fade away, the most heartbreaking part of this experience wasn't just what I saw. It was what I felt. That feeling shook me to my core, and it's something you need to hear. Trust me, it will change everything. Stay with me, because I'm about to share what I learned the hard way. Reality 7. You feel forgotten. There's a moment in every nursing home resident's life that no one prepares you for, not the brochures, not the intake interview, not even the kind nurse who shows you to your room. It's the moment when you realize the world has moved on without you. At first, the phone rings a lot. Visitors drop by. Cards arrive on your birthday. There's even excitement. People check in. You're new. You're still remembered. But then, life gets busy. Grandkids get older. Friends stop calling. Neighbors sell their homes. Colleagues retire and scatter. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to fade from everyone's active memory. It starts with missed calls and rescheduled visits. Then the holidays roll around. And instead of being surrounded by laughter and the smell of home-cooked meals, you're sitting at a cafeteria table decorated with a plastic wreath, eating turkey that's been reheated in bulk. You glance at the door, half hoping someone walks in. But no one does. And that's when it hits you. I've been left behind. Not intentionally. Not maliciously. Just quietly. Forgotten in the rush of everyone else's life. You see, when you're no longer visible in the day-to-day world, it's easy for others to assume you're doing okay. That the system is taking care of you. That someone else is checking in. And little by little, your name stops coming up in conversations. Your photos get replaced. Your absence no longer feels strange, it feels normal. One woman I knew hadn't had a single visitor in over a year. A year. Birthdays passed. Seasons changed. She didn't complain, not once. But every time the front doors opened, her eyes lifted with hope, and then dropped when it wasn't someone for her. It broke something in me, because I knew what she felt. I was starting to feel it too. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, and most of all, to be loved, not just in the bright days of youth, but in every season of your life. That sense of being forgotten doesn't have to be your future. You can start building a fortress of connection right now before the walls of silence creep in. Action tip. Nurture your relationships. Go deeper. Send the text. Make the call. Forgive where you can. Stay curious about others. Don't let busyness be the enemy of presence. Teach your children, your partner, your friends to make time for the elders in their lives. Set the example now. And don't forget yourself in the process, your joy, your curiosity, your passions. Keep those fires alive. Create the kind of bonds that aren't dependent on convenience or circumstance. Build a community that lasts, even if it means stepping out of your comfort zone. Your future self will thank you. Because love and connection aren't just luxuries, they're lifelines. You are not invisible. You are not disposable. You matter. And even if the world tries to move on without you, don't let your spirit go quiet. Shout your story. Share your wisdom. Make your presence known. Because the moment you believe you're forgotten is the moment the world loses something precious. And now that you've seen what I wish I knew sooner, the question is, what will you do differently while there's still time? I don't share this to scare you, but to prepare you. Because no one told me these things. No one warned me about the slow unraveling of independence, the aching silence of loneliness, the quiet indignities that chip away at your spirit one moment at a time. They don't put this in the brochures. They don't show this on the tours. And by the time you truly understand what life inside a facility feels like, it's often too late to turn back. But it doesn't have to be that way for you or for someone you love. Because the truth is, many of these regrets, these brutal realities, are preventable. If you're in your 40s, you have time to build a fortress of strength and independence. If you're in your 60s, you can shape your lifestyle and your support network now, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. And even if you're in your 80s or beyond, it's not too late to advocate for yourself, to reclaim your voice, and to demand the dignity you've earned. Aging is inevitable, but suffering in silence doesn't have to be. What I've shared isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a call to action. You don't have to end up like me. You don't have to learn the hard way. You can take charge. You can plan ahead. You can have the conversations that matter now, not someday. You can be the one who rewrites this story for yourself, your parents, your community, or family. If even one of these realities made you pause, if even one made you whisper to yourself, I hadn't thought of that, then please, do something simple but powerful. Like this video. Share it with someone you care about, your spouse, your adult children, your best friend. You never know who might be standing on the edge of a decision they don't fully understand. And if you've had your own experience with elder care, good, bad, or somewhere in between, drop it in the comments below. Because someone scrolling in silence right now might desperately need to hear your story. Sometimes, A single honest comment can change the course of someone's future. It might just be the thing that helps them avoid the pain I went through. Thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing me. Now go, start the conversation while there's still time.